Hello and welcome back to this Air Hauler 2 tutorial series. Today I'm going to be running through Virtual Airlines, but before I do that, a reminder that I'm using X-Plane 11 version of Air Hauler 2, but these tutorials are totally applicable to both the FSX and the P3D versions because they're all pretty much identical. Anyway, Virtual Airlines, up the top of the program, right here, click on Virtual Airline and you'll come up with all these options right here. So you're probably either wanting to join an existing virtual airline that's already been created out there, or you might want to go ahead and create your own. So those are the two options that you can sort of take advantage of. So if I click on company info right here, it's going to pop up with three options for me. One is create my VA, one is join a VA with a join code, we'll talk about that later on, and the other one is join a VA from the hiring BBS or the bulletin board, the hiring board, which is another way of joining a VA. What will probably happen though is when you go in and first go into this part of the program and look to create a VA or whatever you might do, it's going to ask you for an email address. And if you see down the bottom there, I've got my VA user is Kiwi Mace. So no matter which Air Hauler 2 company I'm in, my VA user name will always remain the same down here. Now you can only have one VA username per email address. So what I mean by that is you can only create one VA or join one VA per email address. So if you want to be a member of multiple VAs, you're going to have to register multiple emails. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to set up Noob Air as a virtual airline. And by the way, if you want to, you can join it too. So I'll put all the info out there, and if you want to be a part of this VA, it will be very, very, very casual, by the way. But if you want to be a part of it, you can go ahead and do it, and all the details will be in here as we go. So let's go ahead and say create a VA. So here you go, pretty standard type situation. Let's call it Air. Why not? Home airfield. I'm actually going to go CY. I'm going to go to Kelowna. Okay, I'm just editing this in after I recorded this episode, everybody, just to let you know that I'd highly recommend that you set up your virtual airline base in the same location that you have a base set up in your normal air hauler company. The reason for that, and I explain it later in this episode, is it will give you access to a lot more cargo jobs. So just go ahead and do that. Highly recommend. In Canada, I've decided to pick that. And we can open up bases right around the world eventually. But I want to start in there because it's a cool little airport there that takes some decent sized aircraft and some beautiful scenery and stuff. So we're going to use that. Starting capital. So here's the thing here. You can actually transfer some money from your Air Hauler 2 company account just to get the VA going. So you might, if you want a heck of a lot of cash, just go and take a massive big loan up and then transfer it across. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's give ourselves $2 million. Hold on, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh no, that's a bit too many. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. $2 million. And that's just a nice amount to be able to get a decent fleet in there. Nothing too crazy. And we can start building it from there. Bank PIN. Is it going to show the numbers up here? It will. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're definitely going to change that, by the way. So by the time you join, if you do decide to join, that is not going to be the PIN number. But let's use that in the meantime. So what you're doing is VA name, where you want your home airfield to be. It talks about what the monthly rental will be. Transfer some cash from your existing company account just to get the airline going. And then PIN number for your bank PIN. And that's going to allow you to transfer money and do a whole lot of other stuff. So we'll go ahead and we will create our company. Yay! Well, where's the cheering? Usually it gives you some cheering. It hasn't. So, sucks to be me, I suppose. Here we go. Okay, so when you first get in here, it's going to show you the location of your home airfield. There goes Kelowna. So for those of you that don't know, this is in Canada. There goes Vancouver here. Obviously, Seattle just down there. So we're right pretty close to the border of the United States and Canada. So what can you do? There's a heap of different things that you can do with your virtual airline, but essentially it runs pretty similar to when you just run a company, except you're going to have a whole lot of other players or whoever you decide to invite who can come in and help you build the airline. So it's still got you still got reputation, you still can fly cargo and passenger flights, you can still do all that sort of stuff. So the first thing we're in right here is let's just perhaps we'll just go through one by one all the different options right here and just explain it as we go. So we're sitting here in the VA company info, so we could make a payment from my own personal account. So you know how in your company in the normal part of air hauler too, you've got your personal account and then you've got your company account. I've got nothing in my personal account, so there's nothing I can transfer. But new pilots coming in might want to transfer some money, or if you're running your airline and it's a little bit low on cash, you might want to transfer it. And here goes withdrawing a cash, same sort of deal. Like if you want to take money out to your personal account, you can do that, and that's where the PIN comes in to play. Company admin right here. So this talks about what percentage of payout for cargo and passengers flights. So there's a couple of options here. This is all about how are you going to pay your pilots. So you can either set a percentage and say, okay, and I might say 20% of the job fee I'm going to send back to the pilots. I don't know what the right number is here, by the way, so we'll figure that out as we go. And the other option here is you can set salaries for your pilots. So the pay schedule could be a monthly payment that you send to your pilots, or you might want to do a weekly payment. It's really up to you. I mean, I suppose the merits of each is that a salary scheme will just allow you to give sort of ongoing payments to your pilots on a regular basis, whereas the pilot remuneration means that pilots in your VA will only get paid if they fly flights. You can do both, by the way, but I think I'm just going to stick to actually just the pilot remuneration model, and I'm going to do a bit of work in the background and figure out what that number needs to be, because the last thing you want to do is give them a massive chunk of your cargo flight and passenger flight fee and have none left to actually run the airline. So you just got to think about that. Let's start at 20. We can change it. Advertising and hiring. Okay, so what we do here, this is all about what's going to be showing up on this bulletin board, VA hiring board up the top here. So this is basically how you can advertise your airline. You can put a big description in here around what your airline's all about, the type of aircraft perhaps that you like flying, what you're trying to achieve, whether you're casual, whether you're serious. And you can go ahead and put your logo of your VA in there also. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause up the video right now, and I'll go and fill out all this information, and let's take a little look at it in 2 seconds. So I'll catch you very soon. Okay, welcome back everybody, and I've put a little bit of a short description in here and thrown our logo up here. So just to run through some of the options that you'll be presented with. Uploaded my image, pretty straightforward. You can actually set a minimum rank for the that the pilots need to be before they can join your virtual airline. I'm not going to do that. And I've thrown a quick little intro in here. Welcome to Noob Air. This is a VA created as part of the Air Hauler 2 tutorial series by YouTuber Kiwi Mace. We are based out of Kelowna, BC, Canada, which provides some fantastic local scenery to enjoy during your flights. This is a fairly casual VA, so please come and enjoy yourself. A few beers while you fly is completely acceptable in this virtual environment. Obviously not a good thing to do in real life. So there you go, pretty straightforward right there. So a couple of options. So go ahead and I'll press save right down the bottom here. Don't forget to save. Now I can click this right here, show in VA hiring BBS, the bulletin board. I can go ahead and do that right now if I wanted to, but I'm going to hold off. And I'm going to give you, the viewers, the opportunity to join the virtual airline first, and I'll provide a code very, very soon. So just wait we'll create one, and then I'll put it out there. So in fact, what I'll do is I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. That is the code. Here it is. I'll put that, that's what you need to put in when you first go into the virtual airline. You say join with a code. So there it is right there. Man, that was a long-winded way of getting that out. Anyway, let's carry on with our tutorial right here. So this is probably a good segue to go up to the hiring board. So I'll click on that. Now this takes a little while, so I'll be back once it's loaded. Okay, welcome back everybody. It took about a minute to download the hiring board, and this is it here. And as you can see, you just scroll through. These are all the different airlines that are currently hiring pilots. So you can browse through these and find one that suits you depending on the type of operations they do. So if we go into the FedEx one right here, look over on the right hand side, it gives you a list of the different aircraft that they are flying. And then there's that description that if you remember correctly, we went ahead and put a description in ours. This is where it shows right here, so you can see what they're all about. And if you're keen, you can go ahead and press apply. So back in our virtual airline right here, if we select show in VA hiring board, that's where it's going to be displayed. So that's nice and easy. So if people do start applying to your virtual airline, this is where they're going to show. And so as they come in, you can either approve them or reject them depending on what they say here. So you advertise, they'll apply, and away you go. Easy as that. Right, so that's setting up your virtual airline. It's pretty straightforward. As you go, you obviously probably want to, add a bit more into your description just to give people a little bit more information, but it's really up to you. Or you can keep it completely closed and just invite people specifically as opposed to advertising widely. So there goes that right there. So VA bases, let's go in there. It's showing that we've got one, and this will look relatively familiar to you all. Any bases that you have are just going to be lined up right here. So as you expand throughout the world, you're obviously going to be able to see those in there. VA pilots, we go like this. Here we go, right here. It's me, obviously. And what you can do in this part of the program is apportion admin rights. So you can give people complete administrative ability. So in other words, they can go in and change stuff, add routes, do all that sort of stuff. Or you might just want them to have bank access for some reason, and also the ability to repair aircraft. So basically you can give people administrative rights to do a number of things within your virtual airline. So pretty straightforward there. Get join code. If I go ahead and do that, I can obviously create that join code which I put up on the screen earlier on. I can go pilot details right here, and it's going to give me a bunch of different pieces of information. So completed cargo flights, you can see cargo delivered, all that sort of stuff. And once again, here's a real breakdown of the real minute detail of the permissions that they have. So you can upload jobs, I can buy and sell aircraft, all that sort of stuff. So once again, depending on the people that you get into your virtual airline, you can either give them admin rights or give them nothing at all. So they're just basically just a member of the airline. So really flexible in that regard, and it gives you the opportunity, obviously, to be able to share the workload with other people in the organisation. The other thing you can do here is pay pilots. So what you might want to do is if you have a really great month, you might want to give everyone a bonus. So you could go ahead, drop down the box and say, hey, well done, hey, I have $20,000 or whatever it might be. Or someone might have done something in the VA that was particularly good. So you can go ahead and you can actually just give them a one-off payment, easy as that. So that's on top of any of salary or any of the the pilot fee share that you're giving them. So that's your pilot control panel. Heaps of different options for you, so it makes it nice and easy for you to be able to manage your guys. So VA fleet, once again, this is going to look pretty similar to the fleet page in the normal part of the program. Once again, we're going to have to go in and buy some aircraft. And in fact, let's go for a good old Cessna 172. Nice and easy. You always got to have a Cessna 172. We go yes. Boom. Or always configure them for passenger because they can still carry cargo. We'll put them in Kelowna. Nice and easy right here. Let's make it all economy, 3 seats. And we have now got an aircraft in our fleet. Okay, now we've got our good old Cessna 172 in our fleet. We've got to go ahead and find some jobs. And you've got both passenger routes, just like in the normal program, as well as cargo jobs. So pretty much exactly the same type of jobs available. Now, before I go into the details of actually how to get jobs, I just want to talk about booking aircraft, because this is an important part of the VA that is quite different than probably normal virtual airlines. Essentially, only one person in your virtual airline can be flying one of your aircraft at any time. So that means, for example, if I was here in Kelowna right here and I was going to fly down to Penticton, say there was a job to do there, I would need to go in and book out the Cessna Skyhawk or whatever the aircraft I was using. Then I fly my job, and then once I've completed my job, I then book it back in. While I've got that aircraft booked out, no one else can fly that aircraft. So obviously you can see where an issue might occur where basically someone books out an aircraft but then forgets to book it back in, and then no one else can use the aircraft. Well, the good news is that if you're an admin within your virtual airline, you're able to boot people out of the aircraft basically, or book it back in. So you can't really just have one Cessna, for example, and have 20 people in your virtual airline all wanting to fly, because that's just not going to work at all. You've got to make sure that you've got enough aircraft to go around for the number of flights that are actually being conducted. So that's one little complication that's added into the virtual airline part of this program, but I think it's kind of a cool addition. So there's that. Right, now let's get into jobs. Okay, here we are in the cargo jobs tab, and I'm going to, and you probably would have heard it already, I'm going to edit in something back early in the video to say that I highly recommend you set up your virtual airline base somewhere that you've already got a base with one of your normal air hauler companies. The reason for that is cargo jobs, because unlike the normal program, VA cargo jobs don't just automatically generate from your base. So you've actually got to go and find the jobs either via the worldwide job board, or transfer them you can transfer them, or someone from your own, from the virtual airline can transfer them from their own company into the virtual airline. So they've already got to exist in, somewhere else first. So that creates a bit of an issue for me right now, because you think about it, my company right here, if we go up to the bases, is actually in Wellington in New Zealand, and that does not help us because all the jobs that are generating out of here are over here in New Zealand. So there's no use me transferring those to my virtual airline because they're way too far away to fly. So there's a couple ways around this. Or a couple of things I'm going to do, by the way. So for a start, let's go to the worldwide job board. So this is just a big list of a whole lot of jobs that are available that you can allocate back to your virtual airline and fly. So I've sorted here by ICAO code. So if we go into, what are we looking for? CYL, and there's nothing here from Kelowna. So I could take some nearby jobs potentially and stuff like that. And maybe allocate those, but then I've got to go and fly me aircraft over there to actually do the job. So these are fine to pick up in your travels, but it's not helping me right here. So, but as your virtual airline expands, you can certainly pick up these jobs. So what I'm going to do is there's two things I'm going to do to work around this. First of all, I'm going to open up a virtual airline base, another base in Wellington, because I know I've got a whole lot of jobs out of Wellington. So let's do that first. So I can go open base. Now, you've got to have enough money to do this, but I might as well just go NZWN, yes, 195,000. I've got enough, and we'll go ahead, and we have opened up our base. There we go. We've got Wellington and Kelowna. So the good news about this now is that when I go into my normal available jobs right here, I can just grab anything from NZWN, distance, let's just grab this one right here, and go transfer to VA down the bottom there. Boom. Accept this and transfer it to VA. And there we go. We've got a cargo job, and we'll go back and have a look at it. I can transfer any of these jobs here now that I want, and that's going to provide a nice stream of jobs that we can complete in our virtual airline. So if we go into virtual airline and we go to VA cargo jobs, there we go right there. I can go ahead and I could fly there from Wellington up to Pine Park, and get that job completed. Now, the problem at the moment with this job is that I've got no virtual airline aircraft here in Wellington, so I'll go ahead and do that at another time. So we're going to have two bases for a start, everybody. We're going to have one in Wellington because that's going to provide heaps of jobs, and we've got one in Kelowna too because I've got another way to actually start getting jobs into there. But that's how you get jobs into your virtual airline. You've got to transfer them from your existing company. So that's what if you get a whole lot of people into your virtual airline, that they'll have bases all around the place and they can transfer jobs into the virtual airline also. Now, what I do, what I will need to do then is in my normal company right here, I'm back into just my normal air hauler company. I need to go ahead and open up a base in Kelowna way over here. I'll need to go up in here and create a new base in my normal airline. So then that starts generating jobs that I can transfer into my virtual airline. I've got one problem. In your normal company, to open a base, you've got to have a pilot in that location. Otherwise, you can't do it. So what I've done, it's a little bit of a rigmarole here, but at least we can cover this off because you might have the same issue yourself. If we go in company information and go to pilots and ops, good old Sydney Warner here was sitting in Wellington doing nothing. So what I did was I went ahead and I transferred him to Kelowna. As you can see here, it says traveling to CYLW. So you can go into them and you can, right here, this button here, pilot travel to, and then I put in Kelowna, and it's going to take him, I mean, what's the time right now? We're on 5th of July, UTC 0052. So it's going to be basically 24 hours before he arrives over in Kelowna. Now, once he arrives in Kelowna, what I can then do is open a base, start creating just normal cargo jobs, available jobs right here. That will start generating just like it has here in Wellington over in Kelowna. And then we'll have a nice little pool of jobs that we can transfer into our VA. So just to recap, for your cargo jobs for your virtual airline, they don't generate automatically. You've got to transfer them from your normal company, or otherwise transfer them from the worldwide job board. So that's cargo jobs. Okay, passenger routes now, everybody, and setting these up is pretty similar to what you would do in your normal company, except you're not assigning a specific pilot like you do in your normal company. So let's just quickly go through adding a sector. It's very easy. We add a sector. It's got to depart from or arrive at a base owned by your virtual airline. So Kelowna, there we go. We own that one. Where are we going to? We're going to go to, let's just go CYYF Penticton, just down, CYYF might help, which is Penticton, just down the road there. Beautiful. It's a 31 nautical mile flight. So you can just go ahead and select Cessna 172 or whatever aircraft you want. We'll call this Noob 001. Why not? I just made that up. Ticket prices $150 for that short flight. It's probably a little bit steep, so let's make it $50. Now you're gonna have to work with these as you go to make sure they're profitable. By the way, we'll make it a purchase service, and let's go ahead and add the sector. And it was added successfully. We go OK, and there we go. Our passenger sector has been set up. Okay, so to go ahead and fly that, I would first of all, I'd need to book out an aircraft. So I'd go up to my virtual airline. We'll go to fleet. Let's go ahead and book that out. There we go. We have booked out the aircraft. I go to passenger routes, and I select that, and I go ahead and fly now. And boom, there we go. And then we go OK. And then we can get into setting up our flight and flying now. Now, when I go ahead and actually fly the flight, you can actually allocate one of your normal aircraft if you want to. You don't have to use a VA aircraft, but it probably makes sense to use a VA aircraft. That's the whole point of it. But as you can see here, remembering all the departure times, etc., are in UTC. Now, from memory, I'll have to quickly check, but from memory, you can fly. I could fly this flight now. I just have to make sure that the simulator's set to these times right here. I probably need to go and delete this one, because who wants to take off at midnight in the dark, particularly in this mountainous area? But you fly your flight, and even if it's way in advance in real time, you can still fly it, and so you can fly a whole bunch of flights, but you won't get rewarded until you won't get your pilot pay or your share of the pay until this time actually happens in the real world. So until it gets to 6th of July, 0030 or whatever time the flight's going to finish, you're not actually going to get rewarded for the flight. So I'm going to have to go and test that out, but if it's like the normal bit, that's what it's like. So I'm going to cancel that because I'm not going to fly the flight. Okay, now just to round off the last couple of tabs here, VA events. This pretty much just shows you everything that's happened line by line in your virtual aircraft. You can see here that, purchasing the aircraft, opening bases, all that sort of stuff. Pretty straightforward. You can clear the log, refresh it, all that good stuff. VA chat, here's a place here that you can go ahead and talk to all the other pilots within the virtual airline. So I've already said hello in there. Hello. There we go, boom. And then obviously if you've got other people in there, they can chat to you at the same time too. But I'd highly recommend jumping on Discord so you can actually talk to each other if that's what you want to do. But here's a nice little function if you want to get into that. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There goes Virtual Airlines. Once you've got it all set up, it's pretty straightforward and should be a lot of fun. So if you do want to join this one, use that join code from earlier in the episode and go ahead and join. And we'll buy some more aircraft, set up a few more bases, and just fly a few flights around the world. Just a bit of fun, but pretty casual. So if you want to do that, feel free to go ahead and join. But hopefully I got something out of this episode. If you did, Make sure you smash that like button down below. If you're new, please consider subscribing. And until next time, everybody, take it easy.